Welcome to my DLP final reflective analysis. When beginning my Bachelor of Education, my vision for teaching and learning was to create a positive classroom where all students feel empowered to exceed their expectations and enjoy the process of learning. Specifically to bring excitement, comfort, and confidence to students while learning math by creating a safe and positive learning environment where care, consideration, and empathy are prioritized. While I still strongly agree with many aspects of my vision from the beginning, throughout my Bachelor of Education, I have acquired a much stronger understanding of what creating a safe and positive learning environment like I had dreamt of actually entails. Further, I've developed a better understanding of the many encompassing components and considerations required to lead with care, consideration, and empathy so that my students can better enjoy the learning process and feel the excitement, comfort, and confidence while on their learning journey. Ultimately, my theme for this reflective analysis is that the role of a successful educator goes far beyond the curriculum. Throughout this reflective analysis, my overall question that will guide my discussion is how can I become a teacher that goes beyond the curriculum and leaves a lifelong impression on my students? Coming into my Bachelor of Education, I embarrassingly admit that my cultural and worldly knowledge was lacking. One of my biggest misunderstandings coming into the program was failing to realize how much this would impact my teaching and how crucial it is that I develop this area of knowledge. Throughout this program, my eyes have become completely open to the traumatic events that have taken place on our land within Canada regarding how Canada has treated Indigenous communities. Through the many class discussions and through the Indigenous Knowing Conference, I feel fortunate enough to have come to realize how my privilege and ignorance can negatively impact my students. During week 2, I took an extensive amount of time to educate myself, reflect, and unpack the history between Canadians and Indigenous people over the years. This has allowed me to come to realize how crucial this knowledge is to be able to have difficult discussions on Canada's history and to be able to incorporate Indigenous pedagogy to foster an inclusive, safe environment within my classroom. While this topic may be new to me and uncomfortable at times, I have realized that I need to get uncomfortable to become comfortable and to foster an environment where I and my students respect and appreciate in each and every one around them. During week 7, I read an article from Maxine Green where she discussed how she believes that one of the biggest issues within the school system is that we are depriving and sheltering the students from reality. She believes the teachers are not acting upon the progressive approaches and are unwilling to take risks to create free thinking, future oriented students. What particularly grabbed my attention is that she stated that teachers must be awake, critical, and open to the world. This really resonated with me and reminded me how crucial it is that I become awake to the world around me and avoid sheltering and depriving my students of the world around them due to my ignorance. The main limitation to my vision of teaching and learning is the overall time and effort it takes to create a safe and positive learning environment where all students' needs are at the forefront of the learning. At week 3 of the semester, I dove deeper into the universal design for learning and differentiated instruction teaching strategies, where I learned how I could utilize UDL and DI to better meet the needs of all students. During my weekly DLP reflection in week 3, I discussed the benefits of UDL and DI and my overall learnings of how UDL and DI can and should be utilized to create a more positive and inclusive learning environment. I also discussed the overall limitations of implementing UDL and DI, which ultimately are the time and effort it takes to create and implement a diverse range of teaching strategies and tailoring the learning to each individual student. While these limitations exist, I strongly believe that learning about UDL and DI was pivotal in gaining a stronger understanding of how I can implement my overall vision for teaching and learning. Ultimately, through the implementation of UDL and DI, I believe I will be able to create a safe and positive learning environment where care, consideration, and empathy are prioritized and student enjoyment is achieved. Further, through considering cultural relevant pedagogy and creating the space and time to have open and honest discussions about the world around us, I believe this will further contribute to me achieving my overall vision and ultimately creating strong relationships and fostering a positive learning environment that goes far beyond the curriculum to leave a lifelong impression on my students.